What's your best truth or dare gone wrong moment? Story 1. One of the few times I was invited to a girl's birthday party with only 2 other guys and maybe 7 girls, and the girls all decided to play truth or dare and spin the bottle mashup. It also began to dawn on me that the birthday girl had a crush on me and that this was all a setup. I had no idea how to kiss, and I pulled one of the guys that I was friends with aside and asked him to help me out with this. He told me that he'd help me out, but I'd owe him big time. So we went back in and sat down. After several truths and small dares from the other girls, the birthday girl spun the bottle and it landed on me. She dared me to kiss her for 5 seconds. As we began to lean in, a horrid smell hit all my nostrils. My friend set off a stink bomb in the trash can and forced us all to leave the room. We all laughed it off and I decided it was late enough to leave. The girl had to throw out the trash can, but I got out of having my first kiss with a cute girl that I had a crush on. Your friend definitely deserves the Wingman of the Year award for pulling off that stink bomb trick to save you from an awkward situation. I hope you paid him back big time for that one. And at least you can say that your first kiss was with a trash can instead of a girl. And it looks like your friend knew how to handle a sticky situation in more ways than one. Maybe he should consider a career as a bomb disposal expert. But all in all, he's a nice guy for pulling that off for you. Story 2. Friend's living room, 9 p.m., 40 minutes in. Everybody was drunk or half drunk. I started the fire by daring a girl to go topless and dance. 10 minutes later, and everything got really real. I can't exactly remember what was the exact dare or who invented it, but 2 seconds after the dare, my friend's mom started opening the door just in time to see 2 topless dudes, 1 topless girl, an empty bottle of vodka, and a just opened bottle of wine, and 1 girl about to lick another girl's behind. Story 3. I got dared to run around the block naked. It wasn't New Year's Eve, but might have been close. And I'm running. And I took the half-block option because, well, I'm chubby and therefore less running. So I do the main street portion of the run, a few honks all as well, and the backstretch runs along a park on one side and a church on another. There's a guy running from the park, and at first I think, aw, poor little guy running from the big naked guy. What a messed up evening for him. And then I glanced over at the church and saw fire in the windows and realized, oh, he's running from a fire that he started and gave chase. My friends waiting outside of our apartment complex with a robe and a shot see a random stranger run by, then me in full-on naked chase mode yelling, call the cops in the fire department. So I gained a bit on that guy, but like a block down, I realized that we just called the cops and the fire department. The fire department is an alley away from us, and I'm a naked guy running through the neighborhood. So I probably need some clothes. Turn back and make it to my friends and the robe just in time for the cops to roll up. The fire department came over a few minutes later, and the fire was a Christmas tree in the park. My drunk ass saw the reflection in the church windows. The cops also got a call about streakers, but didn't mention it until they left. Story 4. Truth or dare at a friend's house after graduating high school. Everyone was drinking and truth or dare popped up. One of the lads was particularly mad enough to pretty much do whatever we suggested even when sober. The bottle lands on him and someone says, I dare you to skinny dip in the pool. With a flash, he's out of his clothes and running towards the pool. He jumps and overshoots it by so much that he goes stomach first into the diving board. Maybe he was holding in the burgers we ate, maybe the alcohol had loosened his behind too much, or maybe it was just an unfortunate accident, but he sprayed all of his crap when he hit it. He then fell into the pool in the area of his own diarrhea. The friend who owns the pool yells, what the F? And runs over. He picks up the pool cleaner net and starts fishing out the fresh crap, but it's pure liquid, and then he just starts hitting the friend on top of his head with it. The poopy friend gets out of the pool, gets a crap-eating grin, and starts walking toward us like it's that hallway scene from Paranormal Activity 4, shouting, give me a hug. We locked him outside until he passed out. The pool was ruined. So I guess you could say that guy really made a splash at the party in more ways than one. I'm sure that guy's poop dive was a sight to behold. But it's too bad it ended up being a real party pooper. I'm guessing that guy's skinny dipping dare wasn't as refreshing as he had hoped. Maybe next time he'll think twice before taking on any dare, no matter how mad he feels. Story 5. It was at a girl's birthday party with super conservative religious parents. She had been talking for weeks about how she just got a tattoo without her parents' knowledge on her butt and was dared to prove it to us, to her skeptical friends. She agreed by bending over the card table that we were at so that everything waist down was out of view, dropping her pants, and told me to come confirm. I was standing behind this girl with her pants around her knees, bent over a table while the other people were laughing and cheering. when her mother came downstairs and opened the door and saw this. Story 6. Just after I turned 21, I had a housewarming party and invited a bunch of people. Some I knew well, others not so much, and we were all drinking. Up next was a guy that I was peripheral friends with but didn't know that well, and he chose Dare. The dancer was a bit of a jerk, and likewise dared said peripheral friend to slap me in the face with his pecker. We got him back by doing the same to the original darer, and started a friendship that has resulted in being each other's best man and godparents to children. So best case scenario for getting a pecker slap to the face I can think of, honestly. Story 7. My friends and I used to play Truth or Dare at the hospital. Now, for reference, we were in our late teens. Old enough so that we couldn't do this stuff at home with our parents in the next room, but not old enough to hang out at bars. So we chose the hospital parking lot because it was a big place where people left us alone. We'd play this game in our parked car. Yes, it's all very weird, but puts the story in perspective. One cold and miserable winter night, a guy in our group dared to exit the vehicle naked and run a single lap around the car. He was pretty crazy, so this was no big deal. The guy, let's call him Herman, stripped down and jumped out of the car, ran a lap, and then tried to open the door again. But for some reason, this triggered the car alarm with the rest of us sitting inside. So instead of climbing back in, Herman decided to run around into a little area near the main building, crouching down near one of those cages that holds the gas meters and electrical equipment. It looked like the opening scene of The Terminator. And while Herman hid behind the cage and some bushes, a security guard came out of nowhere and walked towards the car. By this time, the alarm had stopped. He stared at our car from a distance, saw nobody near it, and somehow didn't notice us sitting inside. Turned around and left. As soon as the guard vanished, Herman came sprinting back to the vehicle across the icy parking lot and was spotted by someone else who began yelling. He jumped back in and we sped off. And that was our last night hanging out at the hospital. Story 8. Was playing Truth or Dare and got dared to lick the bare inner thigh of a girl that I liked. Now, just as I was about to do it, she went pale and ran away to the toilet to throw up for a few minutes. I was pretty gutted until someone pointed out that a couple minutes later before she had dared to eat a daffodil. We thought that she'd eaten like a couple petals or something, but she was a trooper and ate the whole head in one bite, and then took lots of little bites along the stem, like num 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 num. 2 mouthfuls and the whole thing was gone. The next day, someone was telling their parents about it, and they informed us that daffodils are poisonous, and if she hadn't thrown up, she might have had to go to the hospital. I'm still pretty gutted that I never got to lick her leg and anything else that it might have led to, but at least the prospect of that wasn't what caused the vomiting. I do hope this girl learned her lesson about eating random plants during a game of Truth or Dare. Maybe next time she'll stick to something less poisonous. I'm not sure which is worse, getting dared to lick someone's thigh or finding out that the person that you wanted to lick had just eaten a poisonous flower. Either way, it sounds like a lose-lose situation. Story 9. In 7th grade, I was playing at my girlfriend's house for her birthday. Now, my girlfriend and I were then dared, I can't remember if it landed on me or her, to take a rubber and go into the closet to celebrate her birthday. It was uncomfortable and really weird, and lasted about 5 minutes. Gone wrong because it's not how I really wanted to lose my V card, like at a party with a bunch of people waiting for me to come back out. And I learned that not all adult activity is good, and sometimes it's pretty bad, especially when you have no idea what you're doing. Story 10. We were playing Truth or Dare in college at a friend's apartment at a party. In the Truth or Dare room, it was made clear that no one is in a relationship here. The one couple was cool with it because they were swingery like that. I dared to kiss the guy's girlfriend. It was a really good kiss, the best first kiss I'd ever had with a person. Usually the first kiss is all right and you work on it and the other person to make it better, but our lips and techniques matched up perfectly the first time, and the kiss went on way longer than it should have for a game. Anyways, she dumped him like a week later because she said that kiss made her realize that she wanted to be with other people. Story 11. Oh my, I've had this for a long time. When I was much younger, we had my younger cousin over. She came from a very bad home, but the state wouldn't do anything about it. Now anyways, I think she was 6 or 7 at the time. My sister, her, and myself decided to play Truth or Dare. The sister dared my cousin to eat some cat food. It seems gross enough, and being young, hey, that's funny. But she picks it up and eats it without flinching a moment. We blindly stare in awe at what she just did. What came next really shocked us. My sister asked how she ate it so easily, and she said, "Oh, well, that is what we eat at home a lot." Yep, my uncle was starving his children to the point that they were eating cat food to survive. Being young, we never said anything to anyone about it, and that's a regret that we still have to this day. Story 12. In university, Truth or Dare, and my buddy gets dared to streak across the grounds at the student housing. Middle of winter, more than just propriety at stake here, we all supported a footwear caveat, so not completely naked, and crappy little balcony attached to the apartment that we were drinking in. He strips down, slides down the balcony door on the second floor to hop the rail onto the ground and go for his dash. As he's going over quickly, he pauses, sitting on the rail, facing where he was going to make a short jump to the ground, and his nuts and area around his perineum froze to the metal rail he was sitting on. Someone laughing yelled, "Push him!" But before anyone could, he screamed like a girl, "No!" And no one did. Now, fortunately, he didn't jump and rip the skin from his nuts and area, but we filled a KFC bucket with warm water and poured it onto his lap so that it would run down to the contact area and he came loose. Everyone decided that he was good on the dare anyway. Now, I still cringe thinking it, but in that split second, someone would have pushed him, or if he had lost his balance, because it was a bit precarious. Post-mortem discussion was that he was a bit sweaty down there before he stripped. His hands had some damage too, but hey, who gives a crap about the hands when your nuts are frozen to a balcony railing? Oh boy, that sounds like a pretty uncomfortable experience there, buddy. It's a good thing that no one pushed him and that they were able to get him unstuck, because I can only imagine how cold that must have been outside and how painful that has to be. And terrifying, like the pending doom of someone pushing you over, and God knows what would happen after that. Hopefully, he learned his lesson and avoided any future dare that involves his genitalia and the risk of physical harm. Story 13. We were playing a card game which involved a Never Have I Ever minigame, which is basically a modified truth portion of traditional Truth or Dare. Well, one girl in the group says, "Never have I ever slept with anyone besides Tyler, her current boyfriend, not present at the time." Well, that was a lie, and in my house, you did not disparage the sanctity of Never Have I Ever. The rules are no judgments and no lies, and she broke the latter. So I chimed in, and I said, "Hey, what about Andy, the guy that she lost her virginity to during a drunken night out?" No one else at the party knew about. She got so mad, she just stormed out, and everyone else gave me variations of, "You did what had to be done." Look, I feel for her for a crappy encounter that she'd never forget, but you don't get to try to pull some crap like that in my house. Story 14. In my first year of university, I ended up playing Truth or Dare and sat in a stranger's kitchen late one night. Things got a bit out of hand and some naked laps around campus were run, but everything was still in good fun. When we got back to the kitchen, not everybody bothered to get fully dressed again, and in particular, one person ended up leaving without having their shorts back on. We thought this was hilarious, and we kept joking about the shorts as the night went on. At about 12 o'clock, someone tried to dare and barter the shorts for something. This was after their owner had left. And in our drunken state, we thought that this was the funniest thing ever, and completely missed how someone could be annoyed by having their shorts taken away. We ended up trading them for a large portion of chips at a kebab van. And when we woke up, we offered the shorts owner a chip, but he was not pleased, and we ended up having to steal the shorts back out of the kebab van to appease him. All in all, not the worst thing to ever happen, although I don't recommend becoming a thief just because it's funny to trade shorts away for chips when you're drunk. Story 15. One of my old college roommates, let's call him A, had a huge crush on a girl who lived down the hall from us. One night, she asked me if he would like to join their game of Truth or Dare, and he tells him to invite his friend M because her roommate has a crush on M. So he agrees and says he just needs to change, and then he'll grab M and head over. Once she leaves, he starts freaking out. He's head over heels at the opportunity to maybe kiss her. So he runs around our dorm room telling all of us how excited he is. Now, A has been always a super weird guy, just socially awkward to the max, so all of us are excited for him, trying to get him to play it cool. He was shaking like a chihuahua. He was so excited. Anyway, he changes, literally gives himself the finger guns and a pep talk in the mirror, and heads out to meet his destiny. The next morning, we all discover that A hasn't come back from her dorm yet. So naturally, we're all sitting around feeling proud of him. About an hour later, he strolls in grinning from ear to ear and wearing her clothes. He walks up to us and goes, "Guys, I kissed her." And we're all giving him high fives and congratulating him. So we asked for the details, and he says it was a little fuzzy because they all got really drunk. Now, this in and of itself was amazing because A does not drink, like at all. So we all give him a second round of attaboys for finally getting drunk. So he says the following sentence pretty super casually, like it's not a big deal. "Yeah, so she dared me to make out with M for like 5 minutes, and then she'd kiss me. So obviously M and I made out, and then she gave me a peck on the cheek." What? So obviously we're all hysterically laughing at this point and started yelling about his Totally not equivalent exchange. And he gets defensive and says it doesn't matter because he really likes her and is going to ask her out. So he goes to his bedroom to take a nap. As we all laugh about this night in the common room, we hear a knock on the door. It was the girl from down the hall. She then proceeds to tell us the real story of the night, which was that she really did dare him to make out with M for 5 minutes in exchange for a kiss, and they really did make out. She did kiss him on the cheek, and then he promptly got so excited that he stood up from the floor that they were sitting on and tried to take a victory lap. Unfortunately, he was much more drunk than he thought, and standing up so fast made him dizzy and nauseous. So he tried to run out her dorm and back to our dorm so that she wouldn't see him throw up. Unfortunately, our dorm room door was locked, and he couldn't remember the code to get in. So he stood in the hallway, absolutely hammered, and turned his shirt into a little bucket by holding up the end and puked into it. Then he carried his puke shirt back into her apartment and promptly dropped the shirt holding his curdled vomit load onto her floor. She made him change and sent him back the next day in her clothes while she spent the whole night cleaning up his mess. He was so drunk he doesn't remember, and now she wants absolutely nothing to do with him. We all felt bad, but definitely laughed so hard we cried. So it's definitely a good reminder to be careful when playing Truth or Dare. Well, first of all, know your alcohol limits and make sure everyone is on the same page before agreeing to any dares. It might be also important to know that, hey, if you don't drink alcohol that often, you're about to get seriously messed up. It sounds like A got a little carried away with his excitement and ended up making quite the mess of things. If I were his friends, I'd feel bad even telling him the real story because it seems like he's got such a pleasant recollection of it, even though it's completely wrong. I don't know if I'd want to ruin that for him. Story 16. A bunch of friends and I, including my brother and his then girlfriend, were playing Truth or Dare extremely drunk at about 4 a.m. It's his girlfriend's turn now, and she quickly picks the truth, but no one can think of anything to ask her because we really didn't know her. So my friend says, well, just tell us something juicy. To which she responds, looks at my brother and says, I don't think Justin goes down on me enough. He never returns the favor. Justin is my brother. My brother was so caught off guard and embarrassed with what she said, but it was hilarious. We all shamed him for that after she said that, and the next time that we all hung out again about a month later, we asked her if he had shaped up, and she said that he's been doing a much better job. She really took advantage of that situation. Story 17. It was the summer after I completed the 9th grade. I was a part of a local theater company who had just put on a production of Songs for the New World. It was a cast party at this girl's house, and she had a pool and a hot tub, and some of us started a game of Truth or Dare in the hot tub. I was dating this girl at the time and had been for several months. It was a friend of ours' turn, and she asked my girlfriend Truth or Dare. She said dare. Our friend then dared her to break up with me, and she did, and we stayed broken up, despite us both agreeing that it was a good and happy relationship. Gotta give her credit for commitment, I guess. That's quite the daring dare. I guess you would say that relationship really took a dive in the hot tub. It's more like they were playing a game of truth or dump. I can't imagine how awkward that must have been for everyone involved, but at least they can say that they had a memorable party. What would have been amazing is if they had all broken out and started singing the breakup songs from Songs for a New World that night.